Welcome home to Tall Poppies. We are the YouTube channel for startups and entrepreneurs. Today we are viewing the second half of Joni Kindwell-Moore's initial interview, and she is the founder of Snacktivist. Snacktivist is a go-getting, making it happen out there food product company for allergen-friendly food products. At the end of the interview, please hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and then we can send you updates on all the latest happenings with Joni and Snacktivist. They are really go-getters. They are making things happen. They're filling a need. Joni is just one of the most amazing people. So enjoy, hit like, hit subscribe.
Each time you do something and modify a product, you're pushing the value up. So it's going through this value chain. So raw grain is amazing, but it has very little value because we can't really do anything to it. And then you put it into a flour, and then you blend it into a blend, and then you have a bakery bake it into a finished product. It's suddenly the highest point on the value chain. So that's really where we're trying to do, is get it to where it's easiest for the consumer to grab it and consume it.
So I also have another question for you. Sugar. So as we are leaning more towards reducing our glycemic index, people may not be aware of that it's not necessarily you that is driving certain food additives. It's correct. It is the packaging.
Yeah, it's all of the specifications that you need to adhere to for the FDA. So for instance, right now, we've always liked using coconut sugar. It's still a sugar, but it does have a little less glycemic impact than, say, a refined cane. We always use all minimally refined organic sweeteners. That's where I draw the line. I will not use beet sugar, and I will not use a hyper-refined bleached cane sugar either. However, as we've been looking into new strategic partners for manufacturing, we're needing to meet the requirements of big institutions, like, for instance, Costco. We would like to sell to Costco. Well, you have to have all these certain specifications in order to do that, which may involve us eliminating coconut sugar, because coconut sugar is considered a tree nut by the FDA, which we botanists know is actually not correct.
Right.
But we're not going to be able to educate and change their mind on that. So right now we just...
From here on in.
Yeah. So we're going to have to do some modifications. We do have one co-packer who will process a coconut. So we may find that part of our line is still having the coconut sugar and going through that packer, but things that are going to be sold to, for instance, Costco, will have to be free of coconut sugar. And that's what drove the change of us pulling, for instance, our pancake and waffle mix used to be sweetened with coconut sugar, and we've changed it to organic evaporated cane.
So what about monk fruit and stevia and those alternatives that are lower glycemic?
So we love those. That in our household, that's generally what we turn to for sweetening. And as we move forward with our relationships with bakeries, we'll be able to do a lot more work with those kind of sugars, because I've had better luck with monk fruit when it's in a syrup. And so I tend to, when I bake at home, that works best for me, especially in combination with like a date paste and other things that still have sugars, but they're more naturally occurring sugars. The fact that we're developing these relationships with commercial bakeries is going to open up a lot of options for us. For us to run a supply chain that is that comprehensive is really, really difficult. But as we make these partnerships with our bakeries that already have great supply chains, and they already have things like stevia and monk fruit and date paste, we'll be able to expand our R&D and start making some great low glycemic index products. I get really excited about that. I was a diabetic educator for a very long time, so it pains me when we make something that is not low sugar. However, it's very difficult to make a gluten-free, egg-free, dairy-free, sugar-free product that tastes good enough to take to a kindergarten birthday party and have no one know the difference.
Although this with some of those other alternatives would be darn good. So we both have that.
We're excited. We're excited to go that direction. And I have had a lot of people say, we would love it if you would make a low carbohydrate, diabetic friendly line, especially just with that being a passion of mine academically.
And I'm thinking that if you can get ramp up with people coming on board who have that experience, like we mentioned Quest.
Yeah,
bars
exactly.
before, because they've got the resources to do that.
Yeah.
And then if you've done all the research in place and you've got the science background,
Yeah.
then it's certainly going to be really, really helpful.
Yeah, and then we're not reinventing the wheel too. Like you start pairing up with people that have a very aligned mission and have already done things like that, and it's amazing what you can accomplish.
It's almost the logistics already in place there,
Exactly.
the distribution.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
But also we need the general public to actually put pressure on, Costco, because Costco's, meeting their customers' needs. But if they can realize that their customers' needs are for lower glycemic.
Yeah, they are on board too. It's amazing what Costco is doing right now, like with their buying and their selecting of certain products. It's every time I go in there, I'm amazed at the shift that's happening.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job.
They're almost like
listening.
Trader Joe's, almost like where they're trying to sort of listen. And we're not picking on Costco.
Yeah.
We're just using them as,
They're a great example. I think they're a great example too, because they really, you can see that they're listening to consumer demand. I mean, you compare them to Sam's Club and they have a different consumer demographic and a different consumer archetype, and they are not aggressively going after these super healthful options. And it's a really interesting exercise in business strategy.
And it was interesting that you'd mentioned prior that Walmart now has quinoa, and was before 5 years ago that they didn't.
Yeah, right. Yeah, even Walmart, they are making strides. They know it's important too. I mean, I can guarantee that I bet most of the executives and their families for Walmart eat pretty healthy food.
Yes.
And it's just, we as a nation really need to get behind a lot of these changes.
Just as consumers, regarding the supply chains, where you're needing to ramp up for farmers to get into alternative grain crops, which were
Correct.
old strains, land races and things like that. It's interesting that in the Farm and Ranch edition of North Idaho Central, fall 2018, there's an article on Mabel Dobbs, where she's saying that there's a consequence of corporate producers pushing out small farmers because of the economies of scale. And her article, the article about her here, is talking about whether a healthy food movement restore family agriculture, and that's something that we're both very passionate about.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that having urban farms is a good thing, but she's saying it needs to go beyond the farmers market to make it profitable,
viable
for these guys. So
exactly.
actually having corporations like, yours is a company, and we're looking forward to it to becoming a corporation where it will actually help sustain those those pivots for the farmers.
And that's one of the reasons that we've decided to make that one of our 3 pillars of our mission, is that farmers need a brand that they can sell to that is going to incentivize them to do this transition.
To be an extension of them.
Because right now, we have a lot of farmers that would love to look into growing this, but they've always sold through the same channels, through the same co-ops, to the same sales reps and brokerages. And those are rooted in a less pivotable corporate culture, because it's usually large multinational kind of corporate structure.
And then you're also dealing with reality of a certain company where it doesn't want you to not be buying its grain annually, and has made life hell for many small farmers.
Yeah, absolutely. And also greater dependency on other chemical inputs.
Yes, that's part of the equation.
It's a significant part of the equation. And even though right now a lot of farmers report that they are operating at the peak productivity, like they have never been more productive with like bushels produced annually and whatnot. But when you look at their profit margins actually haven't really increased for 40 years. So they're working harder for less.
It's not quite, the store for the slave owner, but, if you're having to buy all your grain, all your chemicals, all this other stuff from the one store of the plantation, so to speak, it's almost like a form of slavery.
When you go back and you look at like a lot of the legal structuring we put into place to protect a free marketplace and free enterprise system, it's really scary how much ground we've lost in the last 50 years in agriculture, which is, one of the roots of our founding of our nation. So it's really ironic to me that that's been one of the places that's been the slowest to change and reclaim its diversified
and part of it, it's
marketplace
because there's
philosophy.
fewer and fewer people in agriculture now.
But we do know that farmers, and I've spent a lot of time talking to farmers, and every time I speak publicly about Snacktivist or about the Green Eats Global Marketplace, which is another passion project I have, it comes up. I get approached by farmers that go, we want to be a part of this, like whatever you're doing, because we love farming. We want our kids or our grandkids to be able to take over the family farm.
Yes.
We want to preserve the culture of American farmlands.
And you want to make it profitable enough where it's attractive for people
Exactly.
not to leave ag.
Well, not
because we
only-
still need to feed people.
And exactly, it is a national security interest in my mind, and the sovereign seed movement is a big national security issue to me. And so the other thing that we have to realize is that with the next generation of farmers, not only do we have a financial incentive, but we have a population of people who do not want to just not have options. I mean, it's the latte at 140-degree generation. People are not going to be happy just saying, oh, I'm taking over the family farm and I have to just sell to this one company because that's what we've done for the last 3 generations. They want options.
Yeah, they want to be self-determining
They want
and make a profit.
Exactly.
And because there's,
They want to
farmers
be
are
independent.
independent because, financial security and financial independence is a massive form of freedom.
Absolutely.
And that is, and to have those alternatives, because they're very smart people, they're educated more than people think.
And farmers are one of the more heavily educated demographics of workers in our country. People don't realize that, but the average farmer is more educated than the average business owner.
They read a lot more.
Business person. So,
well, they are business people.
Yeah, with an ag degree.
Yeah.
I mean, and I grew up in the FFA world, so I get this, and I think it's very unfortunate that we have this
FFA
urban
into cities because
they need to.
There was we could go into the self-responsibility and commitment that is required just to show one animal at the state fair.
Oh, it's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah. So, that's where, as a brand, I look at what we're doing with Snacktivist and I think, okay, this is actually a valuable service that could help promote all these things that I'd like to see happen, not just that would impact me and my business and my life, but it impacts like an entire demographic of our nation.
I'm curious. She mentions here in the article, Eric Stegatov, that Christina Stucker-Gassi, who's chair of the Ag and Food Task Force of IORC, and that's connected to the Western Organization of Resource Councils for Homegrown Stories. So that's another resource there.
Homegrown stories. That's interesting because that's one thing that we're going to build out next year is sourcing stories, and we want to have an entire library of sourcing stories so people can learn about the farms that are growing the food in these,
Yes.
and have that traceable, transparent supply chain. It's really important.
I think it is too. So how has this process changed you?
Oh gosh, that's a really interesting question. I'm definitely realizing I love business a lot more than I thought. There's so much art to it. So I've definitely kind of taken the deep end plunge into the business mindset, which has been really refreshing and fun. I'm surprised, actually.
Oh, interesting. So what's the favorite part about it for you?
I like that there's freedom to see a problem and try to create a solution, and that's your job. Where working in a hospital, mega institution, you see a problem and you go, okay, I have a solution, and it's very rare that solution would ever make it into implementation.
So do you think it's a job or do you think it's a passion?
It's a passion, for sure.
Yeah, because you really have to have it because it's not easy. I mean, so what challenges?
Yeah, you can't. I'm not risk averse because this is very risky. Starting a business and building a brand is very risky.
With a very young family. So, So just share, if you wouldn't mind, just some of the the challenges that it's created for you and your family in pursuing this.
Well, it's definitely been a financial burden because I'm not working full time as a nurse. My kids have learned a lot about business. As one of my WISE advisory council members frequently reminds me, if nothing else comes out of this, you're going to be raising 3 very business savvy children.
Yes.
which is, I have to keep that in mind when I go to the store with my daughter and she goes, wow, Mom, I bet this has a really good profit margin. I think, wow, okay, you're 12. I can't believe you even know what a profit margin is.
Were you saying that, the kids don't want things because they're consciously...
Yeah. So I was a little alarmed the other day because, somebody wanted to take us out to lunch and my kids offered to share something because they were really conscientious that someone was going to be buying them lunch and that they're going to be spending money, and they're very money conscious. And I was actually feeling very guilty about that because I thought, oh, that's such a grown-up thing to be worried about. I can't believe we've, warped our kids on this. And
do you think it's warping, or do you think it's counter to what you think kids are like?
Yeah,
nowadays?
And I think nowadays most kids are not raised with that awareness. They're entitled to being spending money on them.
Because they see that there's a value to which there is.
But when I step back, like that was my mom's immediate reaction of like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to raise my kids being riddled with worry and, anxious all the time about money. But then again, when I take my son and go, hey, do you need new track shoes this year? And he goes, Mom, these are fine. They fit fine. I'm glad that they're not wasteful because I think that that's a really great virtue.
And you and Roy give your kids such great experiences because you went to Montana recently for your holidays. And I saw the
travel
photos
a lot.
of where you went.
We travel a lot. I mean, we're not deficient on fun. I will tell you that. We tend to have a lot of fun. And most of the things we enjoy are not expensive. But, I do believe in enriching my kids. When we go to Seattle, we do go out to Moroccan food and we order whatever we want on the menu, and we don't worry about what it's going to cost because it's an enriching experience, and we like leftovers, so we'll take what we don't eat home. So it's been an interesting impact on my kids. I have to say, as a family, it's really changed our dynamic having this fourth child in our household, which is a business,
a demanding child.
It's very demanding, and my kids have had to realize that sometimes when they are like, Mom, in my face, and they need my attention, and I'm like, how important is this? Because I need to finish this email. They have to realize that they need to triage their, mom needs a little bit.
Yeah. It's that.
I guess that won't hurt them.
Well, the delayed gratification is always a healthy thing to have, and you're certainly not negligent. And so, what qualities or what have you learned to appreciate in your partnership with Roy?
Oh yeah, well, my husband's a really amazing guy. He's not self-consumed at all, which is amazing because he's the youngest of 3 kids, and contrary to typical, sibling, what you'd think, he's really amazingly supportive. But he really believes in what we're doing, and he's very patient, so he's in it for the long haul of like, let's do this, and it's going to be a lot of work, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, that's a great mindset to have.
Yeah, but it's hard when you want to spend more time with your friends and you feel bad because you're like, gosh, I wish I could be there all the time, but you just have so much going on all the time. And with him working full time at the hospital, it's he does not have any spare time. Like it would be great for us to make a point of him to get more time away. He needs it. He deserves it.
But it's part of that sacrifice thing of investing in this. And
yeah, and he's totally cool with that. Like he's in it to win it.
Makes a huge difference to have that.
Oh yeah, and he really prioritizes time with the kids. So when he does have time off, that's what he wants to do is take the kids to the beach.
So time management is a huge part of.
Yeah, I don't waste a lot of time ever anymore, which is actually kind of good. I mean, it's a form of self-discipline that's not going to hurt me. So. I'm okay with that.
And the kids watching you do that.
Yeah.
So what is your intent? I mean, at the soul part of it, what is your intent?
Well, interestingly enough, I was talking to a friend of mine, Linda Olson, and we were talking a lot about that. And I have to say, I'm one of those people that I'm way more driven on leaving an impact on the world than I am driven to have the perfect life, So for me, I'm willing to live with less to know that when I die, that I'm going to be doing something that actually makes the world a better place. I spend a lot of time with dying people, So I can definitely tell you, I've never met anybody on their deathbed that was excited about how perfect their house looked, or, you know, there's a lot of things that people just don't care about, but they care a lot about their legacy. They care a lot about the people they love and their family. So that's
that footprint between those two dates.
Yeah, and I've literally had a lot of people say, I really wish I would have done more that would leave an effect on the world that is beyond just my family, you know, because they're like, when my grandkids are gone, no one will ever remember who I was.
No, they are going to.
Yeah.
You're going to say, yes, they are going to remember.
So that's an interesting thought, because I'm like, I never thought about that. You know, but leave it to a 3 a.m. conversation with someone on hospice to make you think about that. So, so honestly, I can say that is one of my driving forces, is I want to leave an impact. I don't care if my name is associated with it, but I want that impact to be there.
I think actually you do. You know, you want that impact, but, you know, attribution is an important thing.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, what we leave is our story. And this is why this show is important to me, is that people's stories are being shared and being followed.
Yeah.
And
I'm inspired by inspirational people. Like, I consume autobiographies and biographies a lot, and I like founder stories, and, you know, but I want to build something that can leave a legacy. So someday, if I'm walking through the store and people are talking about Snacktivist Foods and how it's done all these cool things, I don't need to go, hey, that was my baby. You know, hopefully by then some really amazing CEO is running it and really making it do amazing things. So, you know, it's like, I'm connected to that. Like, I want to build something that actually makes an impact. Like, you know.
In summing up, we have your needs are people, resources. So people to come on board, and also with advisory board with experience.
Yeah, and just people with connections in the food world. That's a big void for me right now, especially with sales, is just getting those phone calls back when you're essentially a nobody and you never even get the chance to tell them your story. I mean, once I do, things are usually really great, but it's getting audience with people who are influencers.
So marketing, social media, startup experience from 0 to 1.
Yeah, and people who have lived and breathed the food world,
distribution.
Yeah, merchandising,
sourcing.
distribution, all of those levels in between. So we definitely need help in that realm. Like, if I could suddenly be in the presence of somebody who did 20 years for a huge company in the snack world, like say Nabisco even. I mean, we're so like the antithesis of Nabisco, really. But like, they would have such an amazing understanding of like how everything works in that world.
Or craft
exactly. And so I actually do have a friend by the name of Meg Carlson who, if you could interview her, wow, she is like like, it's amazing. She's an amazing, amazing woman. And she was actually the youngest, I think, in an executive position for Heinz, because she was an executive at Ore-Ida. Ore-Ida was owned by Heinz. And so she's a really incredible woman. So I should probably spend some more time just picking her brain, because she's really fun to hang out with too. Like, she's just fun to hang out with, but she's also an amazing wealth of information. And so people like Meg are like my ideal person to have in my world.
Come on board. Come on to the advisory board at least.
She lives in Boise, so who knows? Maybe we'll eventually recruit her to the dark side of Snacktivist.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people with those wonderful. I know, exactly. We love Google Hangouts and all of that good stuff. So just people with that seasoned executive experience and the connections. They know who to call to say, you know what, let's just make this work.
So I'm curious about the Grateful Dead. And I think it's just a really interesting story, because you said before that, you went off and followed, the Grateful Dead tour lifestyle. And it actually, despite the image of being so open and free, it actually was more constricting and limiting than you expected.
I found it to be really limiting in a weird way. Like, there was so much social pressure to be a certain way. And there was this kind of like demonization of like wanting to make money and be successful and better yourself. And to be like, upward mobility wasn't valued there.
Well,
And
this show's called Tall Poppies because,
Yeah.
you know, we're for people who will generate that in themselves.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because I remember, you know, at a certain point I was talking to a friend by the name of John Hurd. He's a musician, really smart guy. And you know, we were just talking about this whole Grateful Dead culture and stuff. And he goes, it's funny because you're really creative. I'm surprised you don't find this to be limiting. And I was like, you know, I kind of do, but I just never really thought about it. So that was kind of a turning point.
You had to go through that experience to understand
But
it.
I just had to experience it. I grew up in an extremely conservative family in an extremely conservative town. And I just had to do something completely opposite so I could find my baseline, you know. And I think sometimes that's really important. You just have to take the jump in the opposite direction, and then you can have it be a balanced person because you've experienced both extremes.
And, you know, and the Grateful Dead is just, you know, a representative of many other things, including, you know, a lot of the thinking that a lot of the young kids are getting into today, which is, you know, they don't respect or don't value, or they're threatened by people who really go out and are individual. And I think that you have to go through life to understand that.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I met my husband at a Grateful Dead show in 1994, so it's funny. And you know, and then 2 years later we met again, and then we were like, don't we know each other somehow? And so the Grateful Dead is kind of one of those essential components, and people don't really understand that culture anymore because it's gone. I mean, it's...
Well, I think certain political sort of the idea sort of replace that. But, you know, it's funny because, you know, we all grow and we should grow. And when we start the business process, we are changed at the end.
Oh my gosh,
and we are changed as we go along.
Yeah.
So
it really shapes you in pretty significant ways.
On that note, this is our little thing. So this is the first course in the multi-stage feast of following Snacktivist.
Yeah.
So until we meet again, this is the Pole of Wisdom, and I want you to share what you think your challenges are going to be in the next 1 to 3 months.
Okay.
And how you're going to meet them and what you want.
Okay.
So look into the future.
All right.
And what strengths, just everything that you think that is going to be needed.
Well, right now, I definitely need some people with connections to move us forward, and I'm going to have to probably cut half of what we're doing and just focus on 2 things, which I'm totally okay with. But it's just been figuring out what those couple of things are, and then we'll just drive them to the moon. Yeah, so that's kind of in my little wish thing, my little wish bowl here. Is to choose the right thing. That's the hard part. When you're finishing beta testing and proof of concept is you test a bunch of things and then you have to choose what to 86 and what's going to be the best return on investment. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Investment of time and money. And then was it 450, 500,000 you wanted?
Yeah, you know, 450 to $500,000. Although I did put it out there every day. I've been thinking about this, that I do hope that I just meet somebody who's like very passionate about what we're doing, has the experience, has the know-how, has already cashed out of a project, and so they have money to invest and they want to invest and take the deep dive and just say, you know what, let's do this right. Here's $1 million. Let's do this. I'll be a partner. Yay! Yeah, and have it be a good match, someone that I can work with.
So when we get together next time, that's what we're going to revisit you on those points, see how it's come along, because, you know, it's a journey unfolding. And so this is just, again, because we've got this food theme, it's the first course.
Yeah. Definitely.
So,
appetizer.
And
we're aperitif right now. I mean, we've just had a cocktail. That's it. I know this is a long process, so I'm, try to be realistic about that.
Yes. We look forward to catching up with you again soon.
That'd be fun.
And so we'll leave at the end of this episode ways to get in contact with you. And,
that'd be great.
If you want to invest with Joni.
We're always looking for investors to join our team.
Yes, and you've got some really awesome people
our team is incredible.
And also the people that are supporting you. You've got some amazing folk there too.
Yeah, I feel really lucky. I can't complain. So
okay.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Sounds great. It's been fun. Thank you.
Bye, Joni.
Goodbye.
Thank you for watching the video. I know that you're excited in following these people. Hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in your journey too.